Standing on the border of everything. Listen close. Can you hear the spirits sing? Lost messages are long ago.
Sonic Frontiers is finally here, the next main installment from Sonic Team. You know, I can't believe it's been 5 years since the last mainline Sonic Team project. That was Sonic Forces. Now, Sonic Forces, it was nothing really to write home about. There were some positive things like the character creator, the music, and I did enjoy the modern Sonic gameplay, but the way the levels were constructed and the lackluster classic Sonic stages, it wasn't great. In between games, Sonic as a brand has been doing just fine. We had 2 successful movies with Sonic 1 and 2, had a decent kart racer with Team Sonic Racing, the comic series is still going strong, and there were tons of collaboration and merchandising deals as well. So there was a ton to keep Sonic fans engaged while we waited for the next big Sonic project. So here we are in 2022. Sonic Frontiers is out, and well, here I am reviewing it. As a heads up, there could be some late game footage that I use for this review, so visual spoilers may be present. Just a heads up. Man, the Sonic fan base is a very interesting community to say the least. As someone who's been playing Sonic since the 90s, I have seen the changes the series has been through, the classic days, the modern era, the boost era, and everything else in between. Depending on when you were introduced to Sonic and the memories associated with that, that will somewhat determine the version of Sonic you prefer. Me personally, I'm a classic fan and love the 2D games more than anything, and Sonic 3 and Knuckles is actually one of my favorite games of all time. But for some of my younger viewers, you may find Sonic Adventure 2 or Sonic Colors to be your favorite. It all depends. I say that to say this. Sonic Frontiers is a very unique game for the series. It embodies the open area feel of something like Sonic Adventure 1, but also retains some of the gameplay elements of Sonic Generations and Forces with the simulated levels. You also get some elements of a Ubisoft game with all the collectible and map reveals in an open area. So it's an interesting mix. In terms of the story, if you're a fan of Sonic lore, which I am not, you will have way more enjoyment of the story than most. So let's talk about that. So I'll make this quick because the game is fairly new. I won't be doing a story breakdown, but in the driver's seat we have Ian Flynn, most known for his involvement in the Sonic comic series. I've never really gotten into the Sonic comics myself, besides a couple of the one-off series like Sonic Mega Drive and the Mega Man crossover, but never the actual Sonic comic mainline story. So I wasn't really familiar with Ian's work, but many fans were excited to have him penning the story for this project. So when it comes to Sonic stories, y'all know me. I personally do not care about Sonic lore. Not saying that it's a bad thing or uninteresting, but it's just not the reason why I play Sonic games. Honestly, my favorite stories in this series are the lighthearted ones. So when a game brings more than that, it's nice, but not needed for my personal enjoyment. With Sonic Frontiers, there was a prequel comic and an animated short that complements the overall story and adds more context to what's going on. You know, I love when Sega does things like this because it rounds out the story that they want to tell. So the game starts off with Eggman looking to steal this mysterious technology on Starfall Island, and soon after he is surrounded and dragged into this cyber world. Sonic and his friends are on the way to the island as well to see what is going on in this island because the Chaos Emeralds are attracted to this island for whatever reason. They're also pulled into this world, but Sonic somehow avoids that fate, and well, here we are. Our adventure begins, finding out the mysteries and motivation behind this unknown being and much more. This is just a basic rundown of the story. Obviously there's way more, and I mean way more to the story, but again, I won't spoil it for the viewers who have yet to explore this game for themselves. Now let's talk about the gameplay. This is where the game really shines for me. First thing up, exploration. Now like I stated earlier, the game is an open area game with multiple areas to explore. The game reminded me of Sonic Adventure 1 with how freely you can run around and explore these areas. I absolutely love this, and this is really refreshing because we haven't had this much freedom in a Sonic game since the Dreamcast era, and the fact that the game isn't linear, I love that. You also have these mini puzzles that open up the map much more. I love this because instead of just simply climbing a tower or clearing out a bunch of enemies, the puzzles keep you engaged and reward you for your success. The puzzles and challenges are not that hard at all, but again, I love it. You also have these rails that act as obstacle courses, which are really fun to scale. You can reach areas that has Chaos Emeralds and other collectibles for Sonic to get. Plus, there's just something about being super high up that's exhilarating. These rails also act as a means of fast travel, so once you unlock that part of the map, you'll have more rails to use to get to areas much quicker. Now for everything else gameplay wise, Sonic Frontiers is not your traditional platforming experience. No, this game is heavily focused on exploration. Now there are these cyberspace levels that try to capture the fun of games like Forces and Generations, but controls way worse. I can't even begin to tell you how long it took me to get used to the controls here. It just didn't feel quite right to me at these levels. Eventually I warmed up to them, but you could tell this was not the focus of the experience. The combat, however, say what you will, I had tons of fun with this game's combat. During my playthrough, I maxed Sonic out, so I was able to pull off all those fancy moves and had a blast doing so. Sonic has so many moves at his disposal, and like I said, it's fun pulling them off. My favorite being the side loop, which has Sonic circling around his enemies to cause damage and create rings. It's fun. I highly recommend you guys rack up those skill points to level Sonic up. It is totally worth it. You could also level Sonic's other key stats by collecting items around the areas. So again, exploration is key. The enemies you fight. Outside of the cyberworld stages, there is not a bag nick in sight. You fight these beings that we've never seen before, and trust me, some of these things put up a hell of a fight. The game forces you to either adapt your combat style or switch the gameplay entirely to fight some of these enemies, which again, keeps things fresh and engaging. It makes some of the enemies feel like little mini games within itself. Again, I love it. As you level up Sonic, you get more skills from the skill tree, the combat becomes more fun. Now, as you guys know, Supersonic is back, and I will say this now. These are the best Supersonic battles I have ever played. Not only do you have way more mobility and your skills are enhanced, but just how the fights are presented is fantastic. The camera angles, the attacks, it's like a wild ride. The Supersonic fights, I didn't really find that challenging, but man, did I have fun playing them. So yeah. Now, how can we sit up here and talk about a Sonic game without mentioning the soundtrack? Sonic, Sega, and music? Come on now, y'all already know this soundtrack is a banger. I swear the track Flowing has been stuck in my head all week. I also love the track Genshi and Unstoppable. Great music. Even the open area music, very atmospheric and calming in some areas. Really good stuff here. So the question I keep getting from a lot of you guys, is Sonic Frontiers a good game? Well, yeah, there's plenty of fun to be had here. Tons of exploration, fun combat, epic boss fights, great music, and visually the game isn't mind-blowing, but it does have pretty decent environments with the issue of pop-in here and there, but it didn't really take away from my overall experience. The cyberspace levels are a nice break from the open area gameplay, but I just wish it controlled better. Right now, Sonic Frontiers has a pretty nice sale for Black Friday if you're in the United States for a physical copy. So hop on that. Look, if this is your first time rocking with me, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, drop a comment down below, show you boys some love. And again, I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.